If your HubSpot portal has more than 50 workflows in it, I bet you can't tell exactly what all of them do. And nobody can, and that's not a knock on anyone, it's just what happens when HubSpot portals grow. Workflows pile up, admins come and go, and eventually you've got automations running that nobody fully understands anymore. Normally, auditing that mess means exporting a list, opening workflows one at a time, and taking notes in a Google Doc for hours. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to do a full HubSpot workflow audit in under 30 minutes using Howley. And then I'll walk you through exactly what the output looks like. And by the end, you'll see how to get a health score for your entire portal, see every workflow connection mapped out visually, catch broken and duplicate automations before they cause problems, and walk away with a report that's ready to hand off, whether that's to a client, your boss, or your own team. So let's get into it. I'm Christian Bond, founder of Howley.io, the HubSpot workflow visualizer and auditing tool. And if you're anything like me and you come into a brand new portal for the first time and you're looking at all of your workflows and you're wondering, well, how are things actually connected here? So you will sometimes have workflows that are setting properties or writing to new properties. You'll have workflows that enroll into others. And you'll have workflows that are triggered by a list enrollment. And one thing HubSpot does really well is give us this list view. And it allows us, of course, to click into each individual workflow, allows us to see the actions within the workflow, whether or not there are any notes left by our colleagues. But one thing HubSpot doesn't show you is this list of connections. And so that is why we have built Howley. With Howley, rather than the list view that you get from HubSpot, Howley actually shows you each workflow as a node on a canvas map. And on this canvas map, we can see all of our workflows broken into various object types. So we have contact workflows, deal workflows, company workflows, ticket workflows, lead workflows, and so on. And if I were to click into any workflow, for example, the close one customer update on the deal object type, okay, we can see immediately what this workflow does. So it updates the associated company to customer and notifies the deal owner when deal stage changes to closed one. So the enrollment is when deal stage is any of closed one, and we can see that the actions in this workflow are that it sets the lifecycle stage to customer and then sends an internal notification. And if we look at the connections from this workflow, we can see that this workflow actually starts 3 other workflows because the trigger for these other workflows is lifecycle stage being customer. And so if I am to, I can obviously see on the map here, I can see where the connection line is drawn, but I can also, as I'm opening up the sidebar, when I click on the workflow, I can see the various connections and I can click into one of them. So if I click into the first connection here, the lifecycle stage, it's a customer welcome email. What it does is it sends a welcome email, creates a kickoff call, so on and so forth. And then it adds it to a list called active customers here. So we just saw from the first workflow that we clicked on, the deal workflow, that it sets the lifecycle stage to customer on the contact record, which in turn starts 3 workflows here. But if I want to click into each individual workflow, I can see, okay, the lifecycle stage customer welcome flow here. Also, it started by actually quite a bit more workflows, but it also starts the added to list active customers workflow that is right here. And so immediately, as I'm going into this HubSpot portal for the very first time, I can start to make sense of, well, how are things actually connected on the property level, on the workflow level as I'm going through this. And if I wanted to, I could even toggle all connections at the same time, which would give me a very clear view of, we can see, okay, there are 2 deal workflows that are writing to some contact workflows. There are other workflows that are, of course, inactive here, or the connections don't matter. Those are the ones that are red here. But the visualizing is only really one part of the auditing process. And one of the things that we've been doing with Howley is looking at not only how our workflows are connected, but certainly also how we can solve and fix some of these issues. And if I am to click on the health assistant up here in the top right, we can see that we analyze every single workflow in your HubSpot portal, gives it a score based on broken enrollments, duplicate actions, empty workflows, stale workflows, so on and so forth. And if I want to get granular with it, I can click into each individual workflow. For example, companies created as prospect. We can see that this is a completely empty workflow. If I am to click on that, it takes me to the workflow directly. I can open that in HubSpot. I can see, okay, there is nothing here as far as actions go. And so what I want to do is I want to leave a note here called and say, this workflow can safely be deleted. Leave this as a medium risk or low risk. That's probably fine. And then when my team is then logging into Howley, they can see the notes that I have left my team. And this is especially important if you are working with a external consultant or a junior on your team, that you want to make sure like this is okay to be deleted. Go ahead. Howley gives you that full visibility layer that HubSpot, unfortunately, doesn't give you in the workflow list. But as we're talking about the health score and we're talking about broken enrollments and inactive workflows, we can see here that this workflow gives a decent score of 81%. But we can also see that there are lots of duplicate actions here. So writing to the same property, in this case, ideal ICP, it writes to tier 3. There are some that are writing to tier 1, tier 2, etc. And so what Howley does is it actually flags all of these issues to make sure that there's no, looping enrollments, and there are no experiences where a customer would become, their lifecycle stage would be set to customer, and then they would be sent or input into 3 different nurture programs. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. And as a past HubSpot consultant, having worked with agencies, 76 workflows that I'm reviewing today, it's not a lot. Typically, we look at 200, 300, 400 workflows at once, and the amount of looping enrollments that we see, or broken enrollments, or empty workflows, or things that were turned on in 2021 that are still active today, these are all things that should be cleaned up, should be consolidated, and that is where Howley comes into play. One thing we also do, apart from the visibility layer that we've gone through, is Howley actually gives or allows you to run an AI audit on top of all of your workflows. So if we do this, we get a full view of gaps and issues and opportunities. And once the AI has read all of the workflows in the portal, it also provides some direct recommendations that we can do. So quick wins that come out of this HubSpot portal as it has reviewed everything that's going on. So once the AI Insights layer has finished processing, as it has here, we can see that, okay, this portal shows signs of automation sprawl. There are 76 workflows, but only 64% of them are active. There are multiple duplicate or versioned workflows handling the same functions. And deal and contact lifecycle automation is pretty good and it's strong, but there are signs of technical debt with multiple inactive workflows, test workflows that are active, and then abandoned scoring and enrichment automations. And all of these issues that are being surfaced are living in this AI Insights layer. So for instance, right, some issues could be there are multiple duplicate lead routing workflows. We have some active test and obsolete workflows, absolutely. There are duplicated MQL workflows, which creates confusion. And then we have some empty or incomplete workflow shells. Under gaps, we see things like there's an abandoned lead scoring infrastructure. We have inconsistent nurture campaign activation. And then we have opportunities of which, we have some good deal stage automation coverage and some good ticket managed automations as well. But under recommendations is where we actually have, okay, so audit and deactivate all test, cloned, and explicitly marked obsolete workflows. So this is where the auditing portion comes into it as you are getting the AI insights layer on top of Howley. But while all of this is great, and you can certainly download this and process it yourself with your local LLM as you're creating your reports, one thing we also do in Howley is we actually give you an entire report of everything that you see across your entire portal as it relates to automations and workflows. So if I click on the workflow health check, at the bottom of this, we see a download report function. And so if I click on this, it now opens an entire report for me where I can see my health score. I can see my executive summary, which provides the overview, like there are 49 active workflows running, 27 inactive. There are some critical issues, 26 warnings, and there are 80 items to review. Some key issues that are requiring my immediate attention here are the 4 broken enrollments. We have 39 standalone workflows. Confirm whether these are intentional. Sometimes, of course, they could be if it's related to an event or a webinar. But one thing that you might want to look at here is, again, confirming, is this intentionally set up like this? Or would this be an opportunity to consolidate or connect further workflows? We also have 14 duplicate actions, 3 stale workflows, and 3 empty workflows. So these are some of my key issues that I'm finding. Under key findings is where we see the entire audit. So these are things like broken enrollment. So these are all the critical issues, the warnings, right? The info items. Perhaps the warnings and the critical ones are the ones to review first. And under the info, like in the info items, we have, okay, there are inactive workflows and possible duplicates. These don't necessarily impact the score if they've been turned off and they've been archived or put into folders. And maybe it's something that was set up that we want to run again in the future. Who knows? But we are finding that in the audit anyways. Then we have the workflow analysis, where we look at every single workflow by object type. So we see that we have 42 contact workflows, 19 deal workflows, 8 company workflows, and so on and so forth. One thing that I'll typically find as I'm digging into a brand new HubSpot portal is that majority are contact workflows. This is done on purpose. Most of the company workflows that I see or ticket are more operational, and so they'll likely set a property or change a property or something related to a deal. And so majority I'm finding are contact workflows as they relate to prospect nurtures, customer nurtures, right? Or really anything beyond that. We also see our most complex workflows here. So we can see that there are, this is broken into number of actions by workflow size. And then as I go into issue detail, I can see the exact workflows that have the broken enrollments. I can see the exact workflows that are stale and standalone and duplicate actions and so on. One thing we did cover briefly were the AI insights layer, and that is included in your audit report where you get the AI summary, you get the issues that were surfaced by the AI, you see all the gaps and the opportunities and the recommendations. And one thing that's really cool as we looked at the connections map directly in Howley and how we can toggle all connections on at the same time, and we can see a map internally and we can leave notes and so on. One thing the Howley report does is it actually gives you that entire map. So you can present that to your client, your boss, your team, and you can see sort of the cluster of what are the most connected workflows. It will tell you at the top here, we can see, okay, we have 36 total connections. There are 28 connected workflows, 48 isolated, 6 connected clusters. And this is exactly where you see that, where we can see what a workflow is connected to. We can see sort of the life cycle of all of the workflows directly in the report as part of the audit. Further in the audit, we will see the workflow inventory. So we will see every single workflow that we have by status, by object, by number of actions associated with that, and when that was last updated. So again, we start by everything that's active, and then we go into the inactive workflows here. And this is another opportunity, right, just to have that inventory on hand. So when you are creating new workflows or you are deleting or archiving workflows, this report is updated in real time. So whenever you are in Howley and you go into the workflow health check, you go to download the report, all of the information, because it syncs directly from HubSpot to Howley, is reflected directly in this report. And part of that is, of course, the workflow inventory. And another part of that is the SOP and documentation. And so one thing I did when we went through it earlier is I left a note on a workflow. And the workflow name was companies created as prospect. And I said, this is a low risk priority and this workflow can safely be deleted. What's really cool is that when you and your team are going through a client's workflows or you are running a workflow audit internally and you're leaving notes on all of the nodes that are on the Howley canvas, all of these are included as part of the report. And so if I am to leave a new note on a workflow, it is automatically reflected directly in this audit report. So before you send this off to a client or present it upwards, it is updated in real time. And again, all you have to do is click on the workflow health check and download the report whenever you make a new change. And then that change is reflected in your report in real time. And because of that, we also see things like what are the most used properties across my workflows. In this particular instance, lifecycle stage is a big one. We have 26 workflows that are affecting the lifecycle stage of something. 9 as the trigger, 17 as the action, and we also have lead status, deal stage, behavior score, and so on and so forth. We surface the most used properties across all of your workflows. And if you have been following along with the Howley documentation and the videos, you'll know that you can, of course, also see that in the impact analyzer whenever you need it. So in the impact analyzer, if I were to click on lifecycle stage, we can see that there are 9 workflows that trigger enrollment out of lifecycle stage. So, okay, that we have a workflow here, right? We looked at that earlier. When lifecycle stage is NEF customer, that's an enrollment into this workflow that then starts this workflow. We can also see, if we click on lifecycle stage again, what modifies the property. So we have some workflow. We have 17 workflows here that modify the property lifecycle stage. And so if I go set as MQL, I know that what this workflow does is it actually sets the lifecycle stage to marketing qualified lead, creates a task, and then sends an internal notification. And this is only enrolled when behavior score is greater than 50. And so as you're going through all of your workflows and looking at these various connections that you have between your workflows, particularly around behavior score, lead score, right? Lifecycle stage, lead status, you will oftentimes find, and this is, I'm speaking from personal experience, there are times when a deal stage is setting lifecycle stage to customer and lead status to qualified, and then you have on the marketing side, a brand new workflow that enrolls in a nurture, and then when that nurture is completed, it sets the lifecycle stage to MQL, and then that in turn enrolls into a new sequence, right, that qualifies them and creates a task for sales and sets them as SQL. But you may also have that on the deal side of things, or on the company side, or on the ticket side. And so that's where a tool like Howley, which allows you to see every single cluster, every single automation, and every single connection between all of your workflows becomes so important, right? Because HubSpot, by default, does not show you these connections. And so by being able to create a report like this, looking at the connection cluster, looking at the most connected workflows, looking at the connection types, so on and so forth, we can really quickly audit our entire workflow system for ourselves, for our client, for our boss, and provide them something valuable that we can take and we can run with that. And so a part of the documentation, right, is leaving notes. We can see our most used properties, But at the very end of this report, we actually have a full list of recommendations broken into automation health and workflow maintenance and structure. And then we have the AI insights as well. And if we want to, before we are presenting this report upwards or to a client, we can even leave our own notes and send this off. And so rather than going to HubSpot, clicking into each individual workflow, seeing if it enrolls into others, if there are notes left on this workflow, seeing what it connects to and trying to manually map that out, writing in a Google Doc what's needed and what's connected and mapping it out in Lucidchart or a Miro or anything like that, Howley gives you that full visibility layer that you need, complete with an audit report that gives you key findings, issues, documentation around your workflows, gives you every single workflow connections. And at the very end, we give you recommendations about what can you act on today, what should be prioritized, and what should you be doing, whether that's for a client, for your team, for your boss, what have you. If you have more than 50 workflows in HubSpot, I highly recommend going to howley.io, creating your free report, and seeing what's needed to move the needle forward. Thank you so much. Howley is available for a 7-day free trial at howley.io. Completely free to start, no credit card required.